Hi, I'm Justin Crosby and welcome to our highlight show, rounding up the best content from day one of our MIPCOM live streaming show from the Palais de Festival in Cannes. Stay tuned for interviews with two legends of the voice acting world, the talented actors behind SpongeBob SquarePants and Patrick Star, Tom Kenny and Bill Fagerbakke. Then we have a co-production panel featuring Kate Barnes, SVP Global Content Scripted at ITV Studios, Richard Tulk-Hart from Buccaneer, and Pablo Conde, Director General of Internationalization at ICEX. And finally, Guy Bisson from Ampere Analysis, one of the industry's leading TV analysts. We discussed Guy's MIPCOM presentation, Global Content Trends, Making Sense of Uncertainty. Thanks to our partner MIPCOM and our sponsors ITV Studios and Shooting in Spain, a brand of ICEX Invest in Spain, for making the shows possible. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back to Telecast Live from the Palais at MIPCOM in Cannes. So you know them as SpongeBob SquarePants and Patrick Star, but today we're talking to the talented actors behind these iconic voices as we welcome to Telecast Tom Kenny and Bill Fagerbakke. We're going to dive into everything from the early days of SpongeBob SquarePants and its incredible cultural impact, and of course we'll hear some stories from behind the scenes. Tom, Bill, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
You're going to really get to know us.
More than you want to, probably.
Amazing to have you here, guys. How are you? You okay?
Great, man. We're thrilled to be on, and wow, MIPCOM.
Yeah.
We do stupid voices, and they brought us here. So it's pretty great.
Is it your first time? First time in Cannes? First time at MIPCOM?
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
I was at MIPCOM pre-SpongeBob, probably 30 years ago.
Wow.
For a motion capture, an early motion capture animation project whose name escapes me at the moment. Okay. But yes, one of the many dead, obscure things on my IMDb.
Well, we don't need to talk about those. That's absolutely fine.
They're there.
Don't even click on it. Nothing will come up.
25 years of SpongeBob SquarePants, which is an amazing achievement. Take us back to right at the beginning when you guys first got involved. What were your initial reactions to the characters, and did you ever think they'd become so iconic?
No one in our goofy business. I mean, if you would ever even dare hope for something like that, you're a bigger idiot than I play. You feel lucky when you stumble into something that you realize is well conceived and well executed, and you enjoy it for as long as it lasts because you got rent to pay. I didn't understand the material. I just thought I dismissed it. And I just did it, and I took my $600 and went home, forgot about it. And then 8 months later, I get this package in the mail, and it's a VHS of the pilot, and I watched it, and it changed my life. I thought, I was accidentally in one of the best cartoons I've ever seen.
Best $600 you ever
Yeah, for sure. Good seed money.
Many $600 later. So wow, yeah, it is kind of mind-blowing to realize it's been 25 years. Even though we had a 5, a 10, a 15, a 20,
right.
A 25, and they've all been celebrated, you kind of don't really notice time passing when the character that you're playing doesn't really age. The characters are the same. There's not like a character arc.
Right.
It's not like EastEnders, but maybe that would be good. I'm pitching that for the British audience.
Okay.
Deep Enders. It's kind of like like the undersea version.
Get out of my pub. Get out of my pub.
Yeah.
So this SpongeBob's personality is hugely infectious. Obviously, I mean. How did you find the perfect voice for him? I mean, did you have this voice in your mind already, or when you first came to voice, and how did you create the voice for SpongeBob?
Well, I had worked on an earlier Nickelodeon animated show called Rocko's Modern Life, early '90s Nicktoon, that Steven Hillenburg worked on as the creative director, and I was one of the voices on it. Ironically, on that show, I was the dumb sidekick. Like, I was the Patrick guy on Rocko's Modern Life. Yeah. It was this character, Heifer, who was a steer, like a cow, like a bovine. And Steve and I just met on that show, and then when Rocco's Modern Life, did its 52 episodes, and Steve was getting ready to pitch his own show, he just remembered me and remembered a kind of an obscure voice that I had done for almost a hidden character. It was in a crowd scene, like and you just try to do different tonalities to fill out the crowd. Hey, you're 20 people gathered, at this riot or whatever, and
One of the guys was this kind of squeaky voiced dude.
and I totally forgot about it. I just dumped that file, and Steve remembered it and said, "Remember that?" And he played the clip for me and said, "That guy, you can barely hear him in there,
But it's that guy.
you can kind of isolate him." And Steve liked that voice. He said, "I think it fits this character who's kind of." Half a boy, half a man, to quote the Nick Lowe song. Half a child, half a grown up, part Pee Wee Herman, part Jerry Lewis, part and Steve just laid it all out very clearly. So we always knew where to go with with the show. I mean, when I first saw it, it was kind of, he hadn't even pitched it to Nickelodeon yet. It was kind of this presentation that was in his drawer at home, in his desk at home, and I just fell in love with it from the get-go.
Yeah. And you said, "Yeah, I can do that voice for an afternoon."
Yeah, I can do that. But not like I'm going to be doing it. Not like a quarter century from now. I'm going to be going.
Cut to massive scar tissue.
So Bill, Patrick is obviously lovable and innocent. I mean, have you added anything to his persona over the years? I mean, I guess if you're voice acting the same character over years, I mean, can you add anything to it, or is it just exactly the same character? To talk, talking about, as I say, well, we know it's not EastEnders, but is there something that you can bring to it over the years and develop it?
As a bit of an expert in being a moron, I do try it. I love, one of the joys for me is, first, you have to recognize the intent of the writing and the moments and the beats, because they're so specifically drawn up, because they're conceived visually and the words at the same time by the storyboard artists and the writers. So you have to work within that framework. I'm always looking for a way to massage something or give a little twist and have a unique reaction that is the essence of Patrick as I know him. So yeah, I do like. It's not like we're just spitting out the lines, and we play.
Well, I
off
would
each
say,
other,
Bill, that
too.
on the Patrick Star Show, the spinoff, which is more like a sketch review, starring Patrick Star, there are different places where you go with Patrick that
For
you
sure,
wouldn't go in
right.
the SpongeBob SquarePants flagship show, because it's a bunch of comedy skits, almost Monty Python-esque by design, and so Patrick does go to a lot of different places
Right.
in those shows that you probably had not gone before that.
Oh, right, 100%, and so, but it has to be within the framework of Patrick's unique worldview. So if Patrick is doing a late night talk show host, he's also doing it the way he thinks it should be done. And so there's, so it's a fun world to play in, man. We're just big children. We're having so much fun. And this guy,
Bill's a really big child.
Yes, right.
Yeah, really, it all starts from the characters and their DNA. It all springs from that. So as long as that's your nexus where you're starting from, then everything else will follow. The writers know the characters very well. We know the characters well, and yeah, it's kind of like a nice, comfortable slipper that you can put on.
And
run
every
around
once in a
and have lot
while,
of fun.
because we have a standing after 25 years saying, but we can say, the phrasing here doesn't feel authentic to the character, and it's not like they're, hey, shut up and say the lines. We
Well,
get
I guess
to,
you kind of outlasted many people that have worked on the show over that time, so you know them better than anybody else, right?
Well,
yeah, although
it's
many of the old guard are still on SpongeBob. We were talking about this earlier, that a lot of people that work on SpongeBob have spent most of their adult showbiz working life in SpongeBob, like people that started on the show 25 years ago in their 20s and here we are, 2.5 decades later.
Yeah, so there is a mutual respect there, and then the rest of them are they loved SpongeBob when they were children, and it inspired them to go into animation, and their first job is working on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So there's this great vitality and excitement that is. You just don't find, if it was a live action show, there wouldn't be this much excitement.
Yeah.
They'd be like, all right, well, what's he doing?
It's
this week,
it's fun to talk to these, work with people who, they got in trouble in 4th grade for doodling SpongeBob in their textbook, and now they're working on the show SpongeBob, which was their favorite show when they were in their formative stages.
Extraordinary.
So it's a beautiful thing. It's a nice mix of like curmudgeonly, crusty old timers.
Actually,
and new blood.
Vincent Waller, who's one of the people that's been around forever, as Tom referred to, he said the other day, didn't he, that a lot of times he'll get corrected by the younger writers. Yes. It's like, no, that was actually some other thing in an episode,
they know
blah,
the
blah.
SpongeBob canon, the lore.
What Vinny has forgotten is still,
So talking about, the actual career of voice acting, and when you're playing these characters, is it a solo? Are you doing this from home these days with the new technology? You can actually do it from home via various different remote recording, or do you come together in the studio and riff off each other? How does it work when in the production of the show?
Kind of all of the above, as the pandemic taught us that we could do it in a modular way.
But before that, you would always do it together, would
generally,
you? Or in the studio?
but also sometimes people would be off shooting something else, or Clancy Brown does a lot of on-camera work, so you'd have to work in Mr. Krabs later. So
he'd have to go to a studio
and mix. It's always been a mix of ensemble and.
I lasted about 8 months in my bedroom, screaming in my bedroom. I said, "Please let me." And I started begging Nickelodeon, "Please let me return to the studio. I don't care if I'm the only one, please." And the engineers were excited about that because they were having to run sessions from their apartments based on the Wi-Fi quality. So it was. Me and a couple of the engineers coming back into Nickelodeon when there was just one or two security people and a couple of cleaning ladies always in the kitchen area, just like talking and looking at their phones because there was nothing to clean. Yeah. And so I've been back into the studio ever since, and some of the other actors have come back in too. Yeah. But I had to get out of my home. I didn't want to do it in my home. I love going to work and being in an environment that is unique to the unique job.
Yeah. I go into the studio sometimes, but I'm also a huge fan of the 20-foot commute.
Yes.
That's a nice.
Tom is the session director now,
right? Okay.
And has been for what, like 7-8 years,
wow,
something like
that
that.
long? Yeah. I'm also the voice director of all things SpongeBob. So
right. Okay.
So that's another reason why I tend to do it from home, is that there's so much happening all the time in that world. Even if I'm not voicing, I'm directing somebody who is voicing. Okay. So, but yeah, I like them both. I like being in the studio, but I don't know. There is something about setting your alarm for 5 minutes before you have to be to work.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, telecasts came from during COVID, the pandemic. I started it when I couldn't, leave my house. So that's how this whole thing started.
Yeah,
so
a lot of things have grow from adversity. Out of horrible times. Right. It's like even after the nuclear blast, there's little flowers that grow through the cracks in the sidewalk. So
that's it. No, well,
that's life.
And you're right. The experience of recording in a studio with a group of people who are really talented doing what they do is much better than sitting at home with whatever technology you've got. I think so. It's a much more social experience. There must, after 25 years, however many sessions over those 25 years, there must be an extraordinary number of bloopers or behind the scenes,
Careful.
Memorable moments that you've had. Take us inside, what your highlights of the last 25 years have been.
Well, I've worked on cartoons, I'm sure you have too, Tom, where people would, ad-lib freely, and it could be funny. But it was like a wasted take because it wouldn't be germane to what you're doing. So the
Yeah,
challenge.
if you're ad-libbing things that could never be used
Yeah,
in the
it's like,
cartoon.
okay, good
it's
one,
funny,
but come
after
on.
a while, you're just wasting everyone's time. You know?
Yeah.
So for me, the challenge is if I'm going to play with that, and they do give us some liberty there, I want it to work. I want it to be an ad lib that is so good that the producers are going, should we use that? You know, and sometimes you get lucky, but also to make our fellow players giggle. You know, there's a lot of satisfaction there.
Yeah. And so you know, the SpongeBob has become a real cultural phenomenon. You know, it's become this brand that's you know, basically outgrown you know, purely an animation. You know, it's a cultural phenomenon. I mean, how do you feel about being involved with, you know, this whole train, the SpongeBob train?
It is a train, and it's been a runaway train for a quarter century, where just new things. It just keeps picking up speed on the downhill grade. It's kind of an amazing experience. It's you know, and I don't think a lot of actors or creators, writers get to be on something that has that kind of juggernaut, long-time juggernaut status.
Yeah.
It's kind of overwhelming. It's a little much for my mushy, spongy brain. I try to just keep it in Bikini Bottom with the characters because, if you start thinking about that, it's global. It's all these different places and all these different actors that are doing, you know, the Japanese, the Korean, the Swedish, the Croatian, the whatever.
Yeah.
There's this whole universe of actors that are repeating what we've done in different languages.
Have you ever been in the same room as a lot of these people around
We
the
met
world?
the Croatian Patrick today.
Yeah, just today, right.
Yeah.
We've had a few, but not enough.
Here at MIP.
Right.
You might meet you said the Spanish one.
Yeah,
maybe,
well,
right?
yeah. The Spanish language guy, Luis. We've been trying to make a meeting happen at some Comic-Con in Mexico City or something, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be. You know what's one thing that's great about about it is that the characters don't have our faces.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't look like you, so it's easy to have a very functional relationship with this character that's very popular worldwide, but doesn't share your physiognomy, you know. So that's kind of great. I mean, I got to say, walking around MIP, I just keep seeing all these billboards and pictures and screens with these good-looking people, you know, CSI Toledo or whatever, you know. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I think I'm having a better time than them. I gotta be honest. I would, you know. It's I look at,
right.
Wow, I'm so glad I'm not on those. You know,
coming from the world of
camera.
camera myself, getting to leave cosmetic hysteria behind is fantastic.
Yeah. And
in the voiceover world, Bill and I are considered hunks. Believe it or not, that's how low the bar is.
do you think there could be another show that's as successful and impactful as SpongeBob if it was created today? Do you think?
People sure keep trying?
You know, I mean, obviously, we've just had MIP Junior and lots of people pitching ideas to everybody, and everybody wants the next SpongeBob.
Right, exactly, and I've been hearing that since season 2.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just, but given the shifting sands of technology and how content is distributed and consumed, who knows? I mean, it's possible.
I also
it's
think
possible.
that anything can be the next big thing.
For sure.
Anything can be the next big thing. Often, unexpectedly, you know, SpongeBob just kind of happened. It wasn't
Preferably
engineered.
unexpected.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't created in a laboratory. It kind of just happened. It was just something that one guy, Steven Hillenburg, drew on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then the rest all sprang from that, and people responded to it. And, you know, it actually was going to be canceled after season 4. And then came back once people, you know, once the bean counter started seeing how well it was doing and how much licensing and product it was doing.
Yeah.
But by the way, we're very happy that decision was made.
And I have to say, too,
fathers of children.
It helps when you have the greatest voiceover actor ever in animation. Tom Kenny. That helps. He is the Mel Blanc of our time. and
Wow.
and
You
that
heard
helps.
that, right?
I did.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm not dreaming that. Thank you, Bill. Well, I mean, we love it. We love what we do, and it's like I said, it seems like this charmed situation, like a lottery ticket that fell on the sidewalk in front of us, and we were just, ooh, what's this thing? And 25 years later, you're still having fun, having a good time, still feeling creative. Still
enjoy it.
Yeah, still and
I get
still
excited
going, wow,
when I
excited.
get when
It's
I'm
still
going
exciting
into work.
to do new things with SpongeBob. Oh, a Broadway musical. Oh, the Super Bowl. Oh, a new series. Oh, another movie.
Yeah.
It never feels de rigueur. I just use bad French because I'm in Cannes. Okay, but yeah, it's a really. It's hard to express just how lucky we feel, and it's all good. Like I always say, I've tried to find a downside to SpongeBob, just as a mental exercise, and I can't find any downside. It's like, well, it's all good,
Well, I guess
maybe I'm just shallow.
Where I was coming from with that question is, obviously we've got the world of YouTube, we've got the world of social media, we've got the world of handheld devices now, which really didn't exist back then.
Not at all.
So I guess that the way that characters are discovered by kids is completely different now. So
You're right about that.
I'm wondering if you think that will have an effect on the new kind of shows that have been.
It has to. It's beyond my ken to really actually consider what it would look like.
You mean it'll have an effect on shows yet to be created, or on our show?
Yeah. I mean,
yet to be created.
on your show, obviously, it was on Nickelodeon, and that was it was a destination that people went for when to watch SpongeBob. But now there are so many different messages and so many different channels for kids and young people to consume content. So many social media channels. It's all about this attention economy now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, whether these sort of characters could, ever have as lasting impact as they had when it comes from back in the day when there was, more linear channels that people used to go to MTV for music or Nickelodeon for,
obviously,
for
we live in a much more splintered, fragmented world now. But one thing that I always try to keep top of mind is that SpongeBob. Yes, SpongeBob's been around for 25 years. Yes, SpongeBob is very popular. Yes, SpongeBob is globally known to a certain number of people. But there's always somebody discovering SpongeBob for the first time right now.
Yeah.
There's always somebody. Today will be the day that some kid falls in love with SpongeBob, and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" Now, they're probably not discovering it the way that somebody did in 1999. I don't know how they're discovering it, but if they like no matter how they find out about it, the characters will appeal to them in the same way, or so one hopes. And really, it really is all about the characters, and the delivery system is something that nobody really has any control over, right?
Yeah.
Like storytellers and creators just have to keep creating characters and telling stories, and how that goes into the brains of young impressionable viewers who will soon become older influential people in the adult world, in the entertainment world, is anybody's guess. It's so I think to try to prognosticate that is a fool's game.
Hurts my brain.
So one final question, or maybe two, but I can't interview such iconic voices without asking you about AI and the development of AI in the States, which is obviously development everywhere. I mean, it's speeding up everywhere. It's coming into voicing. It's coming into all sorts of different elements of entertainment. What do you feel about it? I mean, of course, it's threatening to voice actors, massively,
and to writers, and to on-camera actors.
There are so
everybody
many
who has a body and physically does things.
Yeah.
There are so many ifs involved, and many of those ifs are dispiriting at best. The pleasures, the challenges and pleasures of being able to work in the field of entertainment it's such a rich way, and it spans not just performers, but everyone that works in the world and does everything that we can't do because we're just like goofballs. You know, how much of, I don't know. I mean, how much of that do we just give over to?
Well, I mean, what I'm finding, very, very, is becoming more and more frequently used when, for example, an actor, is either ill or sick, or they can't.
How are you feeling these days?
For whatever,
I feel good.
for whatever reason, they may not be able to make a recording, and there's maybe one line that they didn't use, and it's like, okay, we can just clone your voice easily,
Beep,
pop
beep,
that in,
beep.
And I'm not suggesting that would happen during SpongeBob, but I mean, it's happening,
it's
in
happening,
productions all over the world.
it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle or the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put the genie back into the toothpaste tube. That's difficult. But I think I'm kind of two minds about it, right? Like one side of me has hope that, what human beings and like that organic factor, that special something spur of the moment thing that voice actors and actors bring to performance can't be replaced by an algorithm.
Yeah.
Then I look at history and I say, for the most part, just being very logical, anytime a person's job becomes, anytime a job is able to be done with technology instead of a human being, it's not great for the humans.
Yeah.
If
it's quicker and cheaper, the world of business tends to find the quicker and cheaper way. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of milkmen
Yes,
and
indeed.
bowling alley pin setters who probably thought they'd have a job forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who knows?
Well, let's talk about what's next then.
Now I'm just
finally. Oh well, no, let's not. Well, there's no way that AI is replacing you two anytime soon. I can tell you.
Stop!
So very last question then. What's next for SpongeBob? What are we seeing new that's coming down the track?
Well, there's got a feature next year, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming down the track. More episodes of the show, more streaming movies for cable and television streaming, and a theatrical feature for Christmas 2025.
Right.
So
They tend
I
to
had
tell
do
us
the
at the
math on
last
that one.
second. Yeah,
But yeah, there's
right.
a lot. There's always things happening in SpongeBob world. There's always stuff percolating, and there's never any lack of stuff for us to do.
That's for sure. Right.
That's nice.
Great.
Because I'm hyperactive and I get bored easily.
Well, listen, I'm gonna set you loose on the corridors of MIPCOM.
Oh, boy.
And listen, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. It's been an
Thank you.
absolute delight to speak to you.
Well,
And,
Nice
thank
to
you.
see you.
all the best, and thank you very much. Welcome back to Telecast, live from the Palais here in Cannes. Next up, we have our first panel session. And we have a great panel with Kate Barnes, SVP of Global Content Scripted here at ITV Studios, Richard Tulk-Hart from Buccaneer Media, and Pablo Conde, Director General of Internationalization at ICEX Spain and Investment. Thank you very much, all you guys, for joining us. It's great to have you with us. So first of all, co-production obviously has become increasingly popular model in TV drama recently. What do you think is driving this trend? First of all, Kate, how do you see it evolving over the next few years when it comes to co-production?
I mean, there's always been co-production, particularly sort of countries coming together to fund sort of higher end drama. I think what's obviously happening, a couple of things. Production budgets are going up, and fundamentally they're harder to finance. So that's where a co-production model definitely comes in. And then also, you've got sort of successful streamers in markets who are wanting, local for local. It's incredibly important. So, what works very well in the UK is UK content. So having a sort of partnership alongside the broadcaster in the home territory also makes that co-production relationship within territory really important. So it's a funding opportunity. It's a building something bigger than maybe you can afford on your own, because a storyline naturally works across multiple territories.
Yeah. How about you, Pablo? How do you see this co-production trend developing? Is that something that you've seen from a Spanish perspective?
I think it's, as Kate was saying, it's something that is happening a lot, both for the storytelling part of view, because you have it with co-production, two sides of the same story, and also from the funding point of view, and also having those international successes, local, that have gone global, reduces fear in everyone because they see that a local product can go global. And I think that's something that is helping a lot. You have several cases in Spain, like Elite or Money Heist, that are driven those opportunities. So I think that's a trend that will be more stable, and then because of higher prices, because of that necessity for storytelling that is global, but also because of the financial point of view. And I think in that case, tax incentives also play a high role, both for U.S. dramas that are being shot here in Europe, or also because you have the tax incentive for the European film features.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to talk a little bit about incentives in Spain and what you're doing to attract more co-productions. Richard, from a producer perspective, how do you see the growing importance of co-productions? Is it something? I mean, I know it's something that you're very much involved with at Buccaneer, but how have you seen that develop maybe over the last 5 years or so?
It's largely driven by necessity. Producers, on the whole, are relatively selfish people, so if they didn't have to work with other partners, they probably would choose not to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't sit in that camp. It is largely driven by necessity. I mean, the budgets have, over the last 5 years, to say that they've increased exponentially is not an exaggeration. I mean, the costs at every factor have been driven way higher.
And that's due to interest rates and lots of external factors as well.
There's a lot of external factors. Yeah. There is general inflation in the world, coupled with an inflation in the industry that is beyond inflation in the world. And, a lot of that has been driven by the demand that there's been. And I would say now, for the first time, when we were making The Crow Girl with ITV, it was the first time we started to see that inflation was not as rampant as it has been. And it felt a little bit more possible to control a show. That said, in the landscape of co-productions, like both of you have been pointing out, there is the tax incentives, which you can access best via co-production. There's the Creative Europe end of things, which requires a UK producer to be partnered with somebody to be able to access it. And so it just comes back to the necessity. And you can't make a really high-end drama for less than a certain amount, and that certain amount has got too high to do it on just a broadcaster and a distributor in general.
Yeah. Okay. So Pablo, coming back to you, I mean, in terms of Spanish local productions, we've seen a lot of investment from Amazon, for example, and Netflix, and there's some very popular series come out of the country. What advantages does Spain offer then for potential international partners, and how does ICEX support the industry in your country?
So the advantages are a lot of them. You can summarize it, I would say, in 4 points. I would say the tax incentives are some of them, because you have both cashback when we're talking about foreign producers shooting in Spain, or we have a tax rebate also for those co-productions. And those tax incentive goes with a lower 30% with the minimum, and in certain regions will go up to 50% or 60%. So it's very interesting, and I think it's very competitive compared to other countries. And it's a system that has been going on for more than 10 years, improving itself every time. And I think that's what provides for those streamers and to go to Spain and shoot in Spain. For example, in 2022, you have more shows shooted in Spain than in the UK. You have 34 shows, when you had only 32 in the UK. So wow. It's a turn back on that position. I think that's very important. And whereas every big streamer was closing their production centers in Europe, in Spain they were growing. You have the production center of Netflix. Amazon Prime is producing a lot over there. because Spanish content is working pretty much everywhere, and ICEX is helping both by promoting the Spanish content abroad, by promoting co-production, because for us it's very important co-production, because we are aware that those streamers have less money, and that necessity of co-production is bigger and bigger every time. And because we have also those tax incentives that are really great for the companies. And we have the talent, which is very important and no one talks about, because incentives, everyone has tax incentives. But if you don't have the talent, you don't have the combination.
You mean local production talent?
Local production talent, yeah.
Yeah. And just briefly, when it comes to these tax incentives, how do you actually unlock them? Because, it sounds, is it straightforward, or is it a really long bureaucratic process, which I think some people might fear that...
It's public, so you have a bureaucratic part of it, but I would say that it's true that it takes some time, and some people complain that it does take sometimes. If you do it by the beginning of the year, it takes to the next year's fiscal year to have those incentives. But you have a lot of operators, both national and international, that are willing to monetize beforehand those incentives. So I think that part is really okay. It's like any other system at the end, that you have the tax incentives. Yeah. You get the money as fast as you want. If you want to monetize it, you have better, faster, and if you don't want to monetize it, you'll have it by next year.
Yeah, and I know ICEX is you've got a drive as well for making it easier for international producers to come to Spain, haven't you?
We have a one-stop shop, that is the Spain Audiovisual Bureau, that we help for free, both in Spanish and English, those producers that want to come to Spain to shoot or that are looking for a co-producer. And we'll give the answer in 48 hours if it's quite easy, or by 7 days if it takes a little bit longer.
Right.
And if you're looking for co-production or a tax incentive, we do also have a list of curated tax lawyers that are really important, because at the end we're a public entity, and it depends on the complexity of the program and the project that would give you the advice you need for that co-production or shooting in Spain.
Richard, coming back to you, international co-productions like So Long, Marianne, which is a new show that's has just come out in various territories. When you're working with multiple partners from a broadcaster perspective, how on earth do you align them all? Because to me, it sounds like a logistical nightmare, because everybody involved as a co-production partner from a network perspective has a different viewpoint and obviously wants to have a certain input. How do you manage that from a production perspective?
It's very good training for my second career in politics. I would say it's not possible to align everybody. It's just not, and you have to accept that when you go into a co-production. But going into a co-production with multiple producers or multiple commissioners, they're slightly different things, but both of them require the same sort of ability to understand people's different cultures is a really important one. How we do things in the UK is not necessarily how Spain does things. And so when you're going into those partnerships, you do need to know these people. You can't just go because they're a company and they offer the ability to go there. You've got to get to know people before you go into a co-production. Because if you don't, I promise you, you will find trouble. And you've got to be able to have an argument and sit down on the same day and have a beer. You've got to be able to understand that one person putting in more money doesn't mean that they have the only voice in the room. If there's money from all different parts, which for So Long Marianne, which launched on ITVX last week, we had Norwegian, Canadian, German, Belgian, UK money, all at the same time, all with a different perspective on a story that people think they knew, and you have to listen to them to a degree. But as the lead producer, you've also got to have a strong voice that says, this is the show we're making, and you bought into that. And it's just a balance. It's just, at the end of the day, it's about having a level of respect for each other. And if you can manage that, you should be able to make a decent show.
Yeah, and be a politician in a
and be a politician, yeah.
So, Kate, ITV Studios obviously are leading in global drama production. How do you approach finding the right co-production partners? I mean, what are you looking for when you're considering a collaboration?
Well, I think it's exactly what Rich said. I mean, it's ultimately a people business, and so you've got to get on with the people. There are two types. There's a co-production where producers co-producing, and then there's also kind of financing co-producers as well.
Yeah.
And when we're, it's not only that you like the people, but you want to make the same show. So, you pitch the show to, we've got the show, it's been commissioned by XYZ, do you want to be the co-producer on it? They've got to understand the show, they've got to spend time with the commissioner, with the writer, you've got to know that we're making the same show, that everyone wants the same aim at the end of the day. And like you say, listen to their perspective as well, but ultimately get all those questions and all that out on the table before you start. What is the expectation? Who's going to transmit first? Who's going to be allowed to put their press release out? Can you put it out at the same time? Are you going to be on the press release? What's the branding going to be? Who gets the credits? Like, there's a lot of stuff. Just get it out right at the beginning and know that you want to make the same show, and know that the producer and the two broadcasters are going to get on, because it's a long road.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. I've seen that how often that doesn't happen. When those conversations are really had at the beginning of a project, and you do see those problems coming down the line, and there's so many kinks in the road that don't need to be there.
Yeah, because you can't ever account for absolutely everything, but through experience of doing them, we've come across some kinks, and we've learned the next time you go, right, we're going to discuss right at the beginning who gets what credit at what point. And,
I think experience is the key bit there, because you've got to work out what's a problem and what's not a problem.
Yeah.
And I think with inexperience, problems become big problems very quickly when actually they're not.
Yeah, you've got to choose your hill to die on, and
You do.
and the ones that you've got to just wave through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So streamers have become involved in co-productions increasingly in the last few years. What new opportunities and challenges has that led to for ITV Studios?
Well, I mean, we've done a number of streamers, and I think there's the concept of a global streamer, and there's the concept of a local streamer. So obviously we've had co-productions with global, sort of like, The Serpent was, it was a while ago, but that was, Netflix and BBC. But then we've also, we have had After the Flood, which has been an ITV and a BritBox. So that's, and they're different entities, because one's, multiple territories, one's a single territory, and you're answering, some wants to go day and date. That is more of a challenge, day and date with multiple languages, all got to be ready at the same time. And then some, it's maybe not day and date, so that gives you different challenges. So I think, streamers are hugely important to all of us in every aspect of our business, and they have been part of co-productions in different ways, and continue to be. Mentioned about local for local, wanting to be second window or sometimes first window with the host broadcaster. So it happens a lot in Spain. We have one in France at the moment that's happening between Arte and HBO. So they are taking different roles in different projects, and that is evolving.
Yeah. Do you feel that the rise in co-productions is affecting the types of stories that are being told around the world?
No, I don't think that. I think there've always been stories. You have hyper-local stories that travel. So I mentioned After the Flood. It's a very British specific, but it works incredibly well in America. And, it's going to be on France very soon and lots of other territories. And they can be very local, and they still work very well internationally, I think. And then we've told bigger stories like, say Bodyguard or Vigil, or these bigger sort of stories that have got more of a global DNA to them, that were always going to be made. It's just they fit more naturally as well with sort of international. So I don't think that's changed the stories. I think what might change is, as budgets go up, is that if you need a co-producer to finance your show, which is not every show. I mean, we still, do the license fee, tax and distributor model a lot. If you absolutely cannot make the show without some big injection, then there are some stories, obviously, which are less naturally leaning towards a co-production.
Yeah.
And that's the only sort of difference. I don't think we'll change the types of stories. The trick will be is the budgets that you maybe can make some very, very specific project. But that's always been the same everywhere, to be honest with you. I think whenever you need distributor money to finance a show, a very, very hyper local that is too specifically local, you'll always need to look at how you're financing it.
Yeah.
What's your budget?
Yeah. Pablo, coming back to you, I mean, Spain, country of honour, MIPCOM 2024. So we're seeing lots of news about Spain and Spanish productions and the industry as a whole here. Tell us a little bit about what ICEX is doing then to help drive these more co-productions and more investment. and also export when it comes to Spain and the audiovisual industry?
So we're having co-production get-togethers. For example, we have here in MIPCOM with the Korean delegation, with the Argentinian delegation. We participate also in other markets such as Series Mania or co-production markets, or here or in the film industry, also in Maxedo Film. We are working there, and we have been working for the last 3 years because we have the Spain Audiovisual Hub of Europe plan for the last 3 years. And for us, it's very important to help that co-production in giving information to all the partners that you have a big Spanish industry that has come a level up, I would say, during the last 3 years, that we have bigger and bigger players being able to talk to the streamers face-to-face without being ashamed, I would say, because they were too small. And now we have here, you can see them in MIPCOM, that they are becoming bigger players in the content producing, but also in the service producing. We have been working with them with fam trips. We have a curated event both in the UK in November and in the US in December, in order to show the benefits of shooting and co-producing with the Spanish companies. Or in content in London, we also do a breakfast with Spanish and UK producers, because we believe there is a lot of future in co-production, and because of bigger budgets or because of locally, worldwide stories that need to be told in a co-production model way also.
Yeah. So the news is that Spain is really doubling down when it comes to inviting import and export when it comes to.
Yes, because for us it's very important. We were having with Parrot Analytics some numbers about the sector, and in revenues for the streamer platforms, the Spanish produced content has become $5.1 billion in the last 4 years. If you look at the numbers of how many shows produced in Spain are being watched, it increased by 40% in the US and Canada. In the last year, 73% in Europe, which is big numbers because they were already being watched a lot. And we are not talking about Money Heist or Berlin, which are the ones that everyone knows about. We're talking about the Red Dame, for example, or other shows that have become really, really strong. We have around 200 shows that went to top 10% of the streaming platforms in the last 3 years, which is a lot. We are not talking about one show. 200 shows is a lot because the Spanish content works really well pretty much everywhere because we have the talent, and that talent is what is needed in order to go global.
And many people forget that the Hispanic market in the United States is almost, the population is almost bigger than the UK, for example, so it's a really serious market.
Yeah, it's true, and the Latin American market is also a big one. And I think with Money Heist and the streaming platforms was the first time that our titles didn't have to be doubled to Latino. And everyone is willing to listen to Spanish content and not Latino content, and I think that's a big opportunity for the production of shows in Spain.
Yeah. Richard, we've seen a huge downturn in the US with the scripted industry in particular. Have you seen that affect the market in Europe, and in which case, how?
Yes, I mean, the US not being online, the US not being healthy is not healthy for the industry, full stop. So, I think a lot of people felt when there was the writers' strike and these sorts of things going on, that this was going to benefit European producers, particularly UK producers, and that wasn't the case. The US needs to be healthy for the industry to be healthy, and at the moment, we all know what's going on. There's a lot less being spent and a lot less being commissioned, and whether it's pre-buys or distributors coming on early with the hope of a US number, I think that there's a moment in time here where the realistic approach is there may not be a number against a US sale, which is tough, and so you've got to adapt to that. And again, I think to the world's changed, and co-production is there to help this. Is you've got to be able to make a show for a number at the moment, and that I would say that number is less than £2 million an episode for a big drama, and if you want to go bigger than that, you're looking at either going to an SVOD worldwide, or You've got the US coming in and back online, which at the moment it doesn't feel like it's fully back online.
No.
But it will come back.
You think so? I mean, you're
Yeah, I do. I
confident?
mean, it's everyone talks about cyclical industries, and this is one of those. I think it's fair to say that I've never seen it as bad as it is or has been for the last year in my few years of doing this. But it's an enormous industry. It's too big to fail.
Yeah.
And it will come back. And I think we've had a period of years of making hay, and there was probably too much being made, and there were probably too many production companies, and that was various reasons why that happened when it did happen. And
But this feels a bit more like more than a belt tightening, right?
yeah,
now,
I think this is a
doesn't it?
change in the industry. I think this is a
Right.
fundamental shift to something that is going to look different when it settles. And by different, I think it will be smaller. I think that you're going to find it harder to get commissions, but there may be a bit more rigor as well that comes in, which I think, again, was needed because the industry survives on shows of quality, not on volume of shows.
Yeah.
And that bit needs to come back a bit more, I think. But the UK market is, it's still pretty healthy. I mean, there's commissions are happening. I mean, we've got commissions. There's Channel 4 is spending money, ITV is spending money, the BBC is, Sky is, and then you've got your local SVODs. So, that is a bit of a shift. If you're a producer that has gone down the road of I'm only going to make shows over £4 million for the SVOD services, and that's what you've been doing for the last few years, then you're in a bit of trouble. If you've diversified, or if you've kept looking after what is now sort of called traditional broadcasters, but broadcasters, and you know how to make shows in that sort of range, and it just depends on what people chose to do.
Yeah, yeah. And you say that the companies are commissioning. Have you seen an improvement in that then in the last 6 months or so?
In the UK,
Yeah.
it's in a way I don't think the UK has really felt the effects that other territories have. It's remained pretty healthy on the commissioning front. I would say it's slower. I think that's fair to say. Decisions are taking a bit longer. Obviously, the advertising market is, that's troubling, I think, for the future. But equally, there are many different ways to get things financed these days. And if you've been around the international space rather than just a producer in the UK, Buccaneer, the model of the company is stories for everybody in all parts of the world, and that comes about through having done international for 25 years or whatever it is. There are many routes to getting these things financed, and it's for me interesting working with other cultures and getting that feed into a script can really benefit it done in the right way.
Yeah. Kate, what's your outlook then for the industry? When it comes to scripted and co-productions and the industry as a whole over the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, well, I would echo what we said. We've got a really healthy slate. We've got some fabulous projects that we've both brought to market this time and that have been commissioned in the last month. I'm constantly being pitched by producers, by shows that are in development at the main broadcasters, both in the UK and abroad. There is budgets are going up. That budgets have gone up and are carrying up. That is the biggest challenge because there is just less money. The ad market has been affected with everybody. The streamers obviously are retrenching down to look at profit rather than sort of like quantity. So yes, there are stretches in the market, but in terms of brilliant talent still exists, brilliant storytelling still exists, commissioners still commissioning still exists. The funding model is the bit where we have to all pull together and really sort of put our heads together about how we're going to make these shows a reality. And that's really both a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. It's about good relationships kicking in. It's about knowing that you're much broader than your own domestic borders. You need to look side, and that might come from a co-production, that might come from a pre-sale, that might come from a distributor model, that might come from incentives. It's about looking at all of them, looking at your own production model, looking at, do I need 20 locations or can I survive on 15 locations? You know, it's down to all of us to make sure that we continue the health of a really, really strong and vibrant scripted market. And from my conversations, from what I'm experienced, that's what's happening. So I'm very positive about it, but it does, you know, it's a collaboration.
Yes. It is. Relating, you've got to understand your partner's problems. And, you know, obviously, like, you know, we speak the whole time. What distributors are finding difficult at the moment is different to what producers are finding difficult at the moment. And as long as everyone's aware of each of those areas, I think you can work with the right partners. You can find your way through, and everyone needs to give a little bit and help each other out at the moment, rather than trying to kill each other.
Collaboration, that's it.
There we go.
Exactly.
Well, everybody's sitting around a table, and obviously lots of people doing that all the time at MIPCOM, and many of you are doing that, 10, 15 times a day with different partners. It's extremely busy. I know you've all got to dash. One final question, though. Pablo, what advice would you give producers then looking to work specifically with Spain on co-productions? What would be your single piece of advice to them?
I would say if you are here in MIPCOM, come to our stand. If not, talk to us with the Bureau, the Spanish Audiovisual Bureau, because you will have all the help you want. And think a little bit out of the box in that funding problem you do have. We have a lot of experience with the tax incentives. We have great opportunities with our crews that are really international. We don't have a visa, for example, for less than 90 days, which is really important, and we do have a visa for more than 90 days. But if you have been shortening your periods of shooting, you will have more than enough with 90 days. And it's quite easy. We have the locations, a very well-connected country. You can go pretty much. Saying that to the UK is easy because you come to Spain for holidays and you know how well-connected we are, both to the UK, but within Spain with our high-speed rail, we have very good connections everywhere. You can be pretty much all over Spain in less than 3 hours by a high-speed train, which is a lot of opportunities. We have been doing this for more than 70 years. That we started with the spaghetti westerns, and we do speak English, so it's not so difficult.
Much better than many of us, I think. Richard, any final pieces of advice for any producers entering into the co-production market? And you talked there about collaboration is obviously key.
Yeah, I think it's you just got to go into it with an open mind. I mean, problems arise. It will forever be a difficult thing to make a show. I just go back to what I said earlier, which is make sure you know who you're getting into bed with. Yeah. And it will make life a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay, finally, any more pieces of advice from you for co-productions?
No, I think it's relationships at the end of the day. Exactly. It's exactly that. Just know what you're trying to achieve. Have a vision as a producer, but be adaptive maybe with your commissioning partners. I mean, your co-producing partner is like your commissioner. You've just got two commissioners. And if that is something to sort of like hold fast to, is that if you're going to enter that relationship, that's what they are. They're two commissioners. And it's not always balanced evenly, so it's slightly different, but they are essentially you have two commissioners.
And know what you're getting into.
Know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know you've all got a dash and seal more deals, so thank you so much for joining us. Okay, next up we have a bona fide rock and roll star on telecast. Last week I caught up with Guns N' Roses legend Slash and Richard from Buccaneer to discuss the dark thriller The Crow Girl, which is launching to the international market here in Cannes. Well, that's about it from our MIPCOM Day 1 highlight show. To check out other videos featuring the movers and shakers of the content industry, including days 2 and 3 of MIPCOM, just hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.